hardcore fans, this is what you missed so far. From then until now, and even blasting into the future, the Angel of Thunder. It'll demolish your nerves and boil your blood. Only the strong ones will survive, so all you softies, get out of the way! This mega mix monster is gonna burst your eardrums and change your life. The Angel of Thunder is gonna take you back to the primeval birth of hardcore, back to the days when the newborn hardcore creature oozed out of the slime to terrify your world. Now it's too late. It's Mayday. Mayday.
X amount of pressure, X amount of roar.
Yeah, so we're going to interview Tom from the R.O.A.R 90s Rave Podcast. It's another podcast which sort of is targeted towards the same audience as my Hardcore Whenever Die one, which is a spoken word podcast. So we've got Tom here, we're going to ask him a few more questions about R.O.A.R. So, full name, we know, Tom.
It's Thomas Robert Latcham, if you want to know my full
Robert
name.
Latcham,
Yeah.
Okay. Age?
38, and I'm actually thinner than I've been in quite some time. Yeah, it's been good to me, the lockdown. I've been, just not eating, basically. It's remarkable how much I used to go to pubs. I think that's what it proves.
Right, okay, 38. And where are you from, Tom?
North London.
From North London.
Okay. I grew up in Shrewsbury, so where if London wasn't necessarily a big home of hardcore, I suppose it was a bit, but Shrewsbury really was. I mean, Shrewsbury, it was big, happy hardcore place, big town. But I left there when I was 14.
14. What were the events in Shrewsbury back?
I didn't go. I was 14.
Right, you didn't. What on your radar? No.
No. I didn't get into it until I was like 17, 18, but in London.
Right, okay.
But my mates were into it in Shrewsbury, and like they're older sisters and that. They're older sisters and brothers. But you'd always hear of them going down to Milton Keynes to the Sanctuary, but they used to have like lots of free parties as well in that area because rural and that sort of stuff. Yeah,
okay. Favourite tunes? 3 favourite tunes? Rave tunes?
This is again, it's hard. I'll say producers. How does that sound? I really like Seduction stuff, like his old stuff. I haven't heard much of his new stuff, and I don't know if I'm going to pay for it for the Kickstarter. But I like Seduction stuff. The Cruise as well, like Lonely by The Cruise. Fantastic, that tune. Like, it's one of the most beautiful tunes, rave or non-rave, that I think I've heard. And it's got like little techno elements in it as well and that sort of stuff. God.
We've got one more.
No, I really should have thought about this. No, I can't think. Off the top of my head, I can't think. Okay. I'll come back to it. I was having a mix last night, and I mixed all of the tunes that I like. I don't know. There's all sorts. Favourite
rave?
The best rave I ever went to was Future Vibe, I think. But even though it wasn't very full because there was a train strike. So it was like half full, and they only did 1 or 2, I think, and then they just canned it. But the production levels were so high, as you wouldn't be surprised to learn, by both Future Dance and Vibe-A-Light. But I used to really love the Future dances, so that was why I liked Future Vibe, and it was just a massive Future dance. So
where was Future Vibe?
Future Vibe was at the Sanctuary.
Was it Sanctuary? Right.
Yeah, they had one at the Sanctuary, but they used to do them at they used to do Future dances at Castle Studios, and it was when hardcore was really on its arse. And the first one they did was tiny, but they grew. And then the 5th one, it was all right. It was decent numbers, and then they moved to Bagley's, so they were obviously doing okay. They moved to Bagley's, and it wasn't quite as good when it was at Bagley's, but great production, top music, because they really did a lot of. They did a lot of freeform stuff, and I was really into sort of that sort of early trancecore, early freeform stuff, and so they did a lot of that. So I was into that.
So what was that? Maybe 99. Hardcore was on its arse. 99, 2000.
2000, really. Yeah, that was when
2000.
Future Dance was sort of going.
So what a time to get into hardcore when it's on its ass.
Well, to be honest, you go to these events and you're like, this rave's almost for me. This is great.
I suppose, dance floor to yourself.
Atmosphere wasn't brilliant, right? But to be fair, that's not true. The atmosphere was good, and I think the atmosphere was good because it was only hardy people. It was only people who really, really liked it.
Really wanted to be there, yeah.
Yeah, and so actually, it was really sad. You know, these were people who genuinely loved happy hardcore, and regardless of how few people were there, they were going to go and have it. And so I met a really nice community among people. So yeah, that was it was a weird time to get into hardcore, but there were positives.
Yeah, I suppose it only got better from 99.
And also, the music was good. Like, the music was crap in 97, 98. Like, I'm sorry about that. The majority of it was rubbish, right? And I know that people like it, and that's fine, that's cool. But for me, no, it was too generic. It was too cheesy. The kicks were all the same. And actually, when all those people who were making that stuff stopped making it because they weren't able to make any money out of it anymore, you had the people who were actually really into the music, like HB, Ponder, Chrissy Manic, people like that, Raw Elements, Uplift. They were making some really, really great tunes because they properly cared about it, and they weren't doing it for money. They did it because it was a hobby or their passion, So there was actually some really decent tunes being made around then. They just didn't get the love that perhaps they deserved.
So when sort of 99, 2000, we started to get into the early 2000s when you had all the Rave Babies, the Quash, the Evolutions, that sort of new school happy hardcore sound. What did you think about that? So it was sort of leaving the transcore sort of sound behind, but hardcore really blew up again. Yeah,
I liked some of it, but I felt the problem was that to be diplomatic here, it's nobody's fault. I don't think, but a lot of the raves, well, I don't know. We're going to explore this, whether whose fault it might have been or why this happened. But actually, there was a lot of the DJs played the same stuff, so it was like everyone's playing the Rave Baby now, and then there wasn't that variation anymore, and so it's like, well, like, I don't mind some of this stuff, and I don't mind it in a set or like a set of it or a couple of sets of it, but when everyone's sort of doing it, it does become a bit predictable, and the sound is the same. So it's in a way, it had this, for me, it was the same issue as the 97, 98 stuff had. It was quite cheesy as well, but it was more about, it was that generic sort of kick, if that makes sense. Yeah,
it all went sort of down the same formula, didn't it? It's being produced. I think I saw a Hicks interview, and he said them early sort of 2000 tracks he made, he wanted to make hardcore sound like Digital Punk by Ferry Corsten, Digital Punk track. And I suppose it was 170 BPM, sort of trance building, 64 bar intros.
Well, it was interesting as well when you listen to Force and Styles interview as well. They were trying to make sort of a trancey hardcore, and but they weren't very good at it. So as they fully admitted, they were like, we weren't very good at it. There were people making trance that were much better than us, and actually in the end, we were trying for the perfect kick, I think they said as well. And you're like, well, I think that was a bit of the problem, really. The perfect kick is, for me, the perfect kick is much rawer. So I like mid-90s Gabba, right?
Yeah.
I don't like it beyond really that much, sort of beyond 97, again, 98. I really like that sort of 94, 95, 96 Gabba, because it's got that sort of real sort of raw,
distorted,
distorted kick that I felt that became too clean in towards the millennium. That Scott Brown started dropping it in his sets, and I was like, as soon as he played the Gabba, I was like, it's not. I don't really like this sort of Gabba, so I'm off to somewhere else. And actually, I think that it's the same thing about movies, right? So the digitization of our society has been really great in many ways, but also unfortunately, it's lost that rawness, the creativity. Like, so, when people were making it on, like sampling machines and things like that, like really like an old Amiga or whatever, you really had to work the machine to get something out of it. But then it became digitized, and everyone had the same sample packs, and everyone could just make it and on a computer. And I feel that music, like movies, when they've got CGI compared to having to actually create a set, like an amazing set, like Hook, for instance, something like that, that was real. That was all real. That was all made. That's incredible. Whereas, you're like, well, that's CGI. That's not real. So it's not as incredible as that. And it's the same thing with music, I think. I find, do you see my point?
Yeah. I see the similarity between Hook And
and Rave Baby.
Yeah, Hook and Rave Baby. I heard the Rave Baby full back catalogue. It's not available anywhere. I think was it a hard drive went missing that Ixie or something.
Is that right?
Yeah, but the whole back catalogue of Rave Baby. It's, if you've got the vinyls, you've got it. You can't get it digitally anywhere, I believe.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I heard. There's some rare Rave Babies out there that I was trying to find digitally, which you can't get hold of now.
Well, maybe you should get. Does Hixie not even have them?
I heard that he lost the hard drive with all the.
So he doesn't even have his own tunes.
He'll probably have the vinyls. I assume you can maybe ask him one day. I'm sure he'll have the vinyls.
We'll get him to rip them for you.
Yeah, good lad. For those that have not heard R.O.A.R before or are new to the R.O.A.R podcast, do you want to tell us a bit more about what R.O.A.R is?
Well, in a way, I started it in the same way that you started the Hardcore Will Never Die podcast. I wanted to make a documentary because I've been working in newspapers for 15 years, and then I was a radio presenter on Talk Sport, and I left there a couple of years ago, and I miss broadcasting, and I wanted to make a documentary because it's the one thing I hadn't done, and I was looking at doing a rave documentary because I was like, you know what, it feels like there's plenty of stories there that aren't told. And then lockdown happened, well, just as I was planning to do, sort of start pitching a documentary, and I was like, well, that's not going to get made, is it, this year? So I may as well can that. But so I was sort of spending a lot of time on the internet at the start of lockdown. And again, I noticed lots of Facebook pages, not like you, obviously, because you were before that sort of time, but loads of Facebook pages devoted to rave. And then I'd go to sort of research or look into the lives and careers, because this is what I do when when you're a journalist, you're sort of interested in people's whatever lives. I'd go to look at some of the rave artists. I'm like, there's no interviews. There's nothing, absolutely nothing. I'm like, that's so mad. And I was like, so I really like MCMC as an example. So I was delighted that we got to interview him. And if you haven't listened to it, you should go because it's a wicked interview. He pulls no punches. It's fantastic. But I really liked MCMC. So I was Googling him, and I knew there used to be an interview. Because I've read it in the years gone by. And I looked again, and even that's gone. And so I'm like, all that is out there from MCMC is 2 paragraphs on Discogs. And I'm like, that is insane. He was one of the biggest, jungle MCs in the 90s. Yeah. That is mad. So I was like, well, you know what? Why don't... And then I looked, and I was like, again, is there a podcast? No, not. That's so mad. Okay, am I just mad? Or am I missing something here? But the answer is no, I wasn't missing something here. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to start up a podcast. And I got in touch with Chrissy Richards, who's Chrissy Manic, and asked her if she'd join because I wanted a female voice on it. And then I decided, so then we started together, and I know they're not with us anymore. We had some creative differences, so we went our separate ways after about 5 episodes, which was a shame. But hopefully, I don't think that I think that it's still, the quality's still there. It's just a slightly different vibe. It's me talking, so it's much more sort of conversational and sort of I can follow up questions in the way that I couldn't before. But she brought loads of fun, so it was a shame. But we went our separate ways, and I carried it on. We went all video. So now we're on video. So we're on YouTube. So basically, if you want to see the people that you love being interviewed, it's even better. The audio was good, but the video has brought it, significantly more interest, numbers. And I just think I'm sorry to tell you, Carl, for an audio podcast, it brings something else to it, I think. The editing is harder. But you just have to make sure that you've got your flow. And actually, 3 years presenting overnights on Talk Sport gives you some skills of holding together a chat and an interview or whatever. And so I think that all those things came together, and we've had some great guests. We started with Fabian Grooverider, Slipmat. We've had Rap. We've had Force and Styles, a rare interview with them, their first in 25 years, I think. We've had Gary Viberlight's first ever interview, I think, the promoter of Viberlight, Gary Jack. What else? MCMC's first interview in 7 years, and he talked about, you know, getting engaged to rap on stage. I don't think he's ever talked about that before. He talked about a fallout with Fearless. Don't think he's talked about that before. He talked about going to prison when he was 19, 20. I don't think he's ever talked about that before. Brian G, for instance, we got him to talk about when he went to prison the day before his son was born. His first son was born. He went to prison for 2 years for robbery. He's never spoken about that before. So we take a journalistic approach to the thing that we love, and we try to get them to really open up and tell their story in a non-judgmental, passionate way. We celebrate what everybody achieved, but we're also not afraid to ask tough questions where tough questions need to be asked. And so all of that means that it's, I don't know, I think it's all right. We'd say that. And we've got, we've been inducted into the British Library, the Sound Archive, which is fantastic. So all of the careers of these amazing artists that we all loved are going to be, even if YouTube goes down, which it might do at some point and doesn't exist anymore, they're going to be in the British Library forever. And so that's a really fantastic thing. And I've got lots of plans for it. I think there's plenty we can do with it. Not necessarily in the old school scene, could be elsewhere, whatever. But I think it's got a lot of promise to do other things. So if you haven't checked it out, you should. It's fun. You'll really like it. And I don't talk as much as this. I let other people talk.
Do you think you've sort of capped it by calling it Nancy's Rave Podcast?
Have I limited it in terms of the numbers, or the time, or the time?
Who we can interview and
both. You're right. It is limiting. Of course it is. Like, you have to be realistic. But we created a list before we started of 80 people, right? 80. So I own, and that was just the obvious people. You know, that wasn't even people that I've sort of thought about in the process of, they'll do. And like for instance, Scorpio wasn't on the list. I don't think. He might have been, but I don't think he was. Sorry, Si. Don't mean to offend you, but I don't think he was. It was quite a big list. Well, we only do one interview every fortnight, and we do one part that rolls out every week. So it's every Friday, by the way, if you don't know us, if you've not seen us before. And we do sort of like one part 1 week, one part the next week, but it's only one interview a fortnight for capacity reasons, really. So really, we can only do, in a year, we can really only do 25 people. So if we've got a list of 80, this could go on for a long time. Now, I'm not saying it will, because some have said no already. I won't say who, but some have said, no, I'm not going to do it. It's not for me. Thank you very much. And you've got to respect that. So you're not going to get everybody. But there is plenty of scope, and, you could go for some time. I mean, the big desire would be like Carl Cox. He would be. We're working on Carl. We're hoping we're going to get Carl,
which would be Nantes, obviously.
Very much so.
Hardcore, wasn't he, in the 90s?
Of course, and he famously left and went to techno, and has been. I heard he's done quite well since then. So it'd be fascinating to discuss why he decided to do that. He's one of the aims. LTJ Bookham's a big aim. Liam Howlett a big aim. But we've got big aims, and I'm the sort of person that tries not to stop until he hits those aims. So we'll see. But I think there's a scope for doing other stuff, like other genres of music and things like that, because there is a cap on old school in terms of numbers. So if you look at, this is a bit techie and boring, but if you look at like Mickey Beam's website, I don't know if anyone likes Mickey Beam's, he puts like loads of old school tunes up. He's got 45,000 followers. The Helter Skelter organization's got 25,000. So that sort of gives you an idea about the potential upper limit. So, there is one, of course there is. So, but you know what? It's not really why I did it. I mean, if I was doing it for numbers, I wouldn't have done old school rave music, would I?
No. You say you started going raving sort of around the year 2000. Is there not people who you saw DJing and running events and MCing in the 2000s that you'd like to?
I only really went for about 4 years, mate. I still go now. I go to like old school events now, but I really only went to UK hardcore events for about 3-4 years. So it really is Slam and Vinyl, Future Dance. Yeah. And I would like to interview Future Dance, but I could interview John Chaos instead. He's been around since the 90s. So just because most people didn't come up in 2000 and didn't exist before the 90s. So most people have got a link. I mean, almost everyone has got a link to the 90s. Anyone we have on R.O.A.R, they might not have been around in the 90s. We have Watsy on. He wasn't there. He came around in 2000. but he emceed at all the big events of the 90s and with a lot of the MCs and DJs of the 90s. So we talked to him about that, so that everyone has a link in some way. But in terms of upfronty stuff,
upfronty stuff from 20 years ago.
Well, yeah, indeed. Yeah, the upfront stuff. What's that called? Like medium old school or something like that? What do you call that?
Yeah, mid old school, new old school. I like the way you have transitioned from audio to video, because I'll see the latest episode drop on Spotify, something like that, on social media, and I used to listen to it straight away, driving around. But now I wait till I get home and I've had a drink and I can sit and watch it on YouTube. It's nice. You sort of meeting your heroes, aren't you? It's a lot better on the video.
There is. Definitely. I think that some people like to listen to them when they're driving. So it's been interesting. Our numbers have significantly dropped off on audio. We still do an audio version, but our numbers have dropped off on the audio. And there's a reason for that, of course, isn't there? It's because, if you can look at something, it's always much more fun. But there are some people who will like to listen to it when they're at work or whatever, or when they're driving around in their car. So we get hardly any numbers on SoundCloud, right? But I didn't put one up on SoundCloud the other day because it was a bit rubbish quality sound-wise. And someone messaged me to say, excuse me, you've missed out an episode on SoundCloud. I was like, oh, well, no, I deliberately didn't do it. And he's like, well, because I listen to SoundCloud when I'm driving. I'm like, that's quite annoying, really, because we only get about 100 listens on SoundCloud, but there are 100 people who do like listening to it on SoundCloud. So you're like, well, I want them to be able to listen to it as well. So that cost me like a tenner a month.
It's tenner a month into SoundCloud.
A handful of listeners. But anyway, whatever. If people like to listen to it that way, then that's fine.
Who have you been most starstruck over interviewing from through the podcast, or nervous about interviewing?
No one.
No,
I know that's a terrible answer, but the thing is, mate, I've worked in national newspapers for 15 years. I've interviewed Jose Mourinho. I've interviewed the Prime Minister. So that's not to say that these people aren't important, but the reason I don't get starstruck is because I see them as people. Right. It's like they are people to be interviewed, and they have great successes of which I'm really interested in finding out about. But they are just people. They're just people who excelled in an area that we're all into, But I like interviewing anybody. That's the beauty of being a journalist, is just interviewing people and talking to people and finding out their story. And we've applied for the British Podcast Awards. And one of my entries, which we probably will win none of, obviously, but one of them is for best interview. And as I say in it doesn't matter who you're interviewing. They can be like the most famous celebrity in the world, or they can be just some person, that you meet on the street. Everyone's got an interesting story. Everyone. It's just about how you find it. It's about sort of doing your research. It's about asking clever questions. It's about following up when people say certain things and getting to the root of stuff. And so in that sense, it's sort of, you could be interviewing anybody. Like, it's just about learning their story, and that's what I try to bring to the podcast.
Yep. So all these people who may be watching this back, who you've interviewed, are sat there thinking, "Oh, I hope he says me." You've just crushed all them now, haven't you?
Well, if they are, if they are listening and thinking that, I loved interviewing you all. That's what I'll say. But I feel the same. Whoever I interview, whoever it might be.
Okay. Other than rave music, what else do you listen to? What floats your boat?
I like mid-90s indie music, of course.
Oh, yeah.
My Blue Tones was my first concert, and I still and wonderfully now I know the lead singer from the Blue Tones as a sort of friend, which is like wicked. Like the guy that I went to my first gig, I sort of know him through friends, which is wicked. The Stone Roses, and like more stuff like nowadays, like Future Islands and things like that. But I like hip hop as well, like the Wu-Tang Clan, man. Like, basically, I love the Wu-Tang Clan because they, like Night Force Records, they were really into stylistic, cool DIY. If it works, rip it up and do it again. Do something different. That sort of approach to stuff. And they, the Wu-Tang approached it with like, right, we're going to be sort of Shaolin. We're going to do the sort of Shaolin stuff. We're going to have that iconography of the bees and that big yellow, the big yellow W. And I was sort of inspired by that. And so what I've tried to do with R.O.A.R is to is to create a bit. I'm not saying we're like the Wu-Tang Clan, by the way, but like I've tried to make it sort of pop, like all the colors and bright and sort of stylistic, and the logo. Like I deliberately tried to make it sort of quite sort of, I don't know, sort of poppy culture but rave, like it's old school rave, and it's that same sort of thing. And I sort of feel like there's a team of 4 of us that spend about 60 hours a week on this thing, man, unpaid. No one takes a penny. Like every now and again, I give from the crowd fund, I give them a little £100 here and there, whatever, just to say, thanks guys. I've taken no money from this, but it washes its own face now, which is great. Yeah. But it's, it's a real heavy undertaking, but it's so worth it. It's like to bring people out there, these interviews, and pull back the curtain behind the world that we all just danced around, had no idea went on. It's a real privilege, man. It's really fun, and it's a real privilege.
Yeah, it's one of those podcasts that came out, and my reaction was, why didn't I think of that? It's just such a perfect idea. Everyone wants to hear about who's into rave, wants to hear the stories from the DJs, because back then there wasn't social media. You didn't know what half the DJs looked like. I think it was years went by before I realised DJ R.O.A.R was a female. Do you know what I mean? Because back then you just didn't know. You relied on sort of Mixmag. How long's R.O.A.R been going for now?
7 months as we speak. 7 or 8 months. Yeah.
How many episodes are we up to?
28.
28.
29, yeah. So I don't know when this is coming out, but we've got coming up, we've got Stu Allen, we've got Hixie, who will be wicked. That'll be a really good one.
Definitely.
Looking forward to that. And potentially a couple more that I can't really say, but if they come off, they'll be like really good. And as I say, working towards getting Cole Cox would be the brilliant one as well. We're also doing other stuff, like we've just filmed a Lost Rave Venues mini documentary about Stearns. I don't know when that'll come out either, but it's just trying something different, because those sort of history docs, people really love them on the internet, like on YouTube. They really get into those sort of, like the history of the tube and shit. You're like, why? But they got like 200,000 views, and you're like, well, people really love that history stuff. So we thought, well, let's do history of rave venues. So we've gone and we filmed that, and we've just done a pilot. We'll see how that goes, and then
Yeah, back then I think when people made tunes back then, there was a real analog feel, and you had to hire a studio or a bedroom to making it. Now you just fire up Ableton, don't you, on you? There's no real story to tell about where that sample came from or how you made that tune. But
true.
Back then there was a story to tell, definitely.
Yeah. And there's such a rich history in the rave scene. It really is, and it's largely unexplored. And so that's what makes this, I think, such a rich vein of podcasts, and it's the same with you, man. Like you must be discovering all the time, like tunes that you didn't know from the 90s, like an old B-side and all that. Yeah, exactly, man. So it's you're helping to, you too, like your podcast, like ours, is helping to explore a largely still unexplored scene. Really, it's great, man.
It had so much to offer, didn't it? The 90s, it wasn't long enough, is what I say. The 90s weren't long enough. We weren't done with it.
Right.
Are you looking forward to going back on the road and meeting all the people you interview face to face? Or
to be honest, it's a bit of a ball ache. Yeah. So getting together, who all live in different parts of the country, and a rave DJ who is and they're often busy people or unreliable or whatever, and getting all those people in this room together, filming it, and then the edit's really heavy as well. So it's kind of been good being in lockdown, so we've only been able to do this. But actually, the numbers have been fine. I think people really just like content. They like good content. And it's sort of, it's nice when you go to do it face to face. It feels more special, and it feels that it is great to meet them as well. Rather than just be down the line. And it does make a difference in terms of your rapport. But I think that the ultimate thing is, are you seeing interesting interviews with interesting people that you're interested in? Yes, you are. It doesn't really matter in what form that's done, I suppose. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I'm just looking again. I'm looking forward to going to a rave. Like, I'm looking forward. So I've already bought tickets to Ollie Thumper's Chapel of
Chaos. Yeah, that falls on my 40th birthday. I really want to go, but I think I'm going to be hopefully abroad, doing something abroad. But I would really like to go to that.
No offense, Ollie, but if given the choice, I also would prefer to go abroad. But indeed, but also I think I'm going to go to Return to Source as well, which is Ollie's other one, which is a sort of mixed arena 91 to 99 rave event, all in one room, all different styles of music between 91 and 99. Some really good acts as well, like Fallout's playing, so I'm really looking forward to seeing her. So I've got a couple of trips to Birmingham to come, so yeah, I just hope they happen. That's all.
Yeah. Are you going to get Ollie on for a chat? Have some interesting stories to tell.
I've had him on a little bit early on in one of the episodes. We had a debate on, but yeah, he's a good lad. He has got plenty to say.
yeah, his character into top bloke. Where can people find R.O.A.R? I mean,
so we're on YouTube. Just search for R.O.A.R, the 90s Rave Podcast. We're also on on Spotify and iTunes, R.O.A.R, the 90s Rave Podcast. But YouTube is where you'll find all of our best stuff, really. So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, well, we was having a chat before about our favourite sort of early 90s, 93 tunes, and I've put a mix together which will be available on your podcast and my podcast. Yes. Sort of my favourite 93 tunes, your favourite 93 tunes.
Okay, right. So earlier on, I couldn't remember any names of tunes. Do you want to just say what the tunes were that I said? No, you forgot You're asking me what your favourite tunes One of them was the B-side to SMD1.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was. SMD one side too, and there was one on Impact Records. I can't remember it was B side. I can't remember the name of that. Can you?
No,
it was on Impact, and there was Twister by Seduction.
Yes, Twister. Yes, there you go. There we go. Right. We got there eventually. God, that was embarrassing. Well, thank you very much, mate. I appreciate it. And I'm gonna be checking out the Hardcore Never Die podcast, and everyone else who's listening to this should, man, because it's great stuff. And well done for giving so many like new producers some talent, some chance to shine, mate. It's brilliant.
Yeah, you too. Keep up the good work, mate. Top podcast, highly recommended. Look forward to the future ones. See you, buddy.
Your name's not down. You're not coming in.
busy on a tempo. On a tempo. darkness, we are all the same. It is only our knowledge and wisdom that separates us. Don't let your eyes deceive you. In complete darkness, we are all the same. It is only our knowledge and wisdom that separates us. Don't let your eyes deceive you. We are all the same. It is only our knowledge and wisdom that separates us. Don't let your eyes deceive you.
these people wanna get high. Real high and real fast. Times like these people wanna get high. Real high and real fast. Real high and real fast. Real high and real fast. Wanna get high, real high and real fast. Times like these people wanna get high, real high and real fast. 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 Real high and real fast.
love the way you rock. Oh man, me love the way you rock. 1, 2, 3, get loose now.
Hello, welcome to more R.O.A.R. It's a little bit of extra content for you because here at R.O.A.R we're all about trying to share the love and letting you know about some of the cool things that are going on rave related out there. And there is one podcast about hardcore which has been going for an incredible 11 years, making it the longest running, if not the best, hardcore podcast out there. It is the Hardcore Will Never Die podcast, and its host Cole Easy C joins us now. Hello, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Are you good?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. Thank you, squeaky chair. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. By the way, Colin sent me some lovely stickers recently. So if anybody is watching this on video, you'll see his stickers of his Hardcore Will Never Die. And also what you don't know, Cole, is that I've just been sending out a load of stuff for our competition that we won. And not only did they win the stuff, they also got a nice Hardcore Will Never Die sticker. So we're sharing the love to all of our fans in many different ways. So there you go. Well, thank you very much for those stickers. I appreciate it. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, mate. Thanks. Yeah, not getting a bit fat and a bit hairy due to the current situation. No gyms, no hairdressers. Or age, yeah.
It happens to us all, mate. We all get fat and hairy one day eventually.
Yeah, I'm fighting it.
Yeah, it is. It's a boring time, isn't it, mate? How are you coping with it all?
Yeah, good. Yeah. I'm sort of a key worker through the real world of work, so I just sort of work straight through. No problems. Good stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, more about the social side of it, really. I was asking, are you struggling? Because I know that you DJ as well, of course. So it probably impacts upon all that sort of stuff. Mate,
I just miss going for a pint. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's so bad, isn't it? Just going and sitting in the local pub, chewing the fat, having a few drinks. It's hard, isn't it? I suppose. But it's been so long. It's become normal now, hasn't it? Which is. A couple more months and then we'll be there.
Yeah, we're recording this in March. I don't know when it's going to go out, but we're recording this in March. So by the time this goes out, you never know. We could all we might have forgotten what coronavirus is altogether. Right. So I'm going to do a little quick fire thing for you, just to sort of get to know you, and then we'll ask you a bit about the podcast and why people should go and check you out. It's the Hardcore Will Never Die podcast. But in terms of you, I'm assuming your name's Cole because your name's Colin, DJ Cole Easy C. I'm assuming it's Colin, but what's your full name?
Colin Cooper.
Colin Cooper. Okay. How old are you, Cole?
39.
Okay. Looking good on it.
Right side of 40.
Just about.
Looking
good on it. But if I may say, a little bit fatter and a little bit hairier than you used to. And where are you from, mate?
I'm from Hull.
Okay. And how did you get into raving?
I got into raving when I was 15-year-old through R.O.A.R radio, sort of local R.O.A.R radio in about 95. And it was sort of predominantly Eurocore and happy hardcore. It was played late on a night, and that sort of got my attention, like sort of the age of 15. So I was right into the music before I could actually get into the raves.
Right. Although that never stopped people generally.
No. I think I'll have been 16, I think 17 when I was going out raving.
What was your first rave?
Just some local stuff. It will have been a night called Fresh in Hull. And a mutual friend of ours, DJ Pursuit. Yep.
Top man made one of our theme tunes.
Yeah. He lives up the road from me, or used to live up the road from me, sort of like a lifelong friend. He was DJing at these events and on the R.O.A.R radio and all that kind of thing. So he was a bit of a few years older than me, a bit of a someone to look up to, an inspiration.
A face in the scene.
Yeah. He's a good lad.
And so, when would you start going after that to more bigger events over the time?
Yeah. Sort of the people I was sort of hanging around with at sort of like 16, 17, 18 were a bit older than me, and it was the sort of bear for the Super Club. Your Gatecrasher, God's Kitchen, Sun Essentials, and they used to drag me to them. So it was sort of full on trance, full on hard house, and sort of raving and happy hardcore was sort of like my dirty little secret that I didn't have anyone to really go to the events with. I went to a few, but it was in them early days. It was mainly the big super clubs like Gatecrasher in Sheffield, God's Kitchen, Birmingham on it. Sort of travelling around the country to those kind of festivals and events, which were massive. Weren't they? I mean, trance and the Midlands in the UK, it was the centre of the world for trance back in the late 90s. So it was a big eye opener from going to the local pubs in the town to go to these full on raves and events around the country. It was good fun.
So why hardcore though?
Why hardcore? I don't know.
Because it sounds like you were going. It sounded like you were going to trance events, but you're now doing a hardcore podcast.
The people that I was sort of friends with, they're full on got the full subclub trance bug, so they went to all them. There's just something about happy hardcore, isn't there? It's fun. It makes you feel happy. It's fundamentally fun, happy music. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't take itself too seriously. So I don't know. There's something touched me with happy hardcore. I think it's the lyrics, the wonderlands, the fairy tales. It's just, who gives a fuck in it? It's just happy music. There's something. It was faster as well. You know, harder the better kind of thing.
Yeah. And what are your favourite sort of tunes over the years? Like, if you could name a couple.
That's hard from someone who does a podcast every week for the past 11 years. Bang it up. Favourite tracks from when I first got into it, sort of that Euro-core sound, where Axis, So In Love, sort of like a complete Euro-core sounding track. Timo Maas, Final Excess, and Party Animals, Used and Abused. Okay. A bit more banging. And what Scorpio playing that.
What were your sort of favourite DJs then? If I mean, there's a slight range of music there, but what were your favourite sort of?
Back then it'll been Scott Brown, and he probably still is Scott Brown for hardcore, to be honest. He's such an all-rounder. And they say never meet your heroes, and I've played on lineups with Scott Brown a few times, and he's a top geezer. I played in Glasgow with him a few years ago on the same lineup, and me and the MC that I was with pulled up to the hotel sort of late afternoon, and Scott Brown's walking into the hotel in Glasgow for this event, looking like someone out of Harlander. You know, he's a big bloke, big flowing hair, big shirts on. And the kid that I was with, the MC that I was with, knew him. So we sort of hooked up, and Scott took us round Glasgow drinking with him and his mates, because he's from Glasgow. And when he's up there, he goes and sees his family, his brother, some of his mates kind of thing. And he took us drinking before the event round Glasgow. So I thought I could drink. But you go drinking round the back streets, the backstreet boozers with Scott Brown. He'll teach you a thing or two about drinking.
Wow.
So, yeah, love Scott Brown.
Fun,
yeah, it was good, man.
I love the fact that he looks like, you know, if you were going to sort of design a stereotypical happy hardcore DJ,
yeah,
it's him basically. But then you could say that about them all back in the 90s. Like, it was like, are you doing this deliberately? Like, with your long hair, your ponytails, and your earrings?
It was the caricatures, wasn't it? That sort of made of them all. Yeah.
And what were your favourite MCs?
Favourite MCs? I'm going to say Three Star, who was a big MC sort of up north, who came to be my MC, playing around the country with him.
So you've got to say that, really, haven't you?
Yeah. If I was say someone else,
even if you think he's shit, like, you got to say it, really, haven't you?
No, he's spot on his shit. If I was say someone else, I'd say Nats.
Okay. So you like the Northern style ones?
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. It's just sort of what you grow up with, isn't it? And sort of the events that you go to. They sort of played all around Yorkshire, Lincolnshire, sort of down south a little bit.
But you see, the ones I grew up with, I don't really like that much now. I'm not going to name them.
Do you know?
Not really. I think the sort of thing, I'm much, I don't know, the older I get, the more I'm just into the music. And so I want an MC that's just going to complement the music. And for me, that is someone like Ribs.
Yeah, exactly, completely. Yeah.
Exactly. Someone who sort of lets the music breathe and just hypes you up. The lyrics, not really quite my bag anymore. Whereas once upon a time, I would have been much more into that.
Yeah, these MCs out there, aren't there, which are just all about the lyrics, constantly. Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
And what was your favourite rave?
Varbalite. Definitely.
So you do enjoy the Gary Jack interview?
That was fun. Everything he said about looking after the ravers, putting on a show, it stood out. It's, you know, there was all great raves sort of back in the day, but that just sort of stood out for me. He really looked after the ravers, all the merchandise stalls when you're walking out. Like I say, you used to have tapes ready for you to buy that you just sort of listen to. The production he put on, it was just like, God, that must have cost thousands. And what's the point? Just little details that just made the whole thing. So definitely Varbalite, yeah.
Okay. I mean, you're quite clearly hardcore until you die by the looks of it. So tell us about the Hardcore Will Never Die podcast.
So Hardcore Never Die, it is 2-hour podcast. every week. It goes out live on Eruption Radio, which are online and on DAB. And we sort of explore 30 years of UK hardcore, happy hardcore, rave breaks. There's features in there, so it's not just me mixing for 2 hours. There's a record of the week. We do a 3 in a row feature where we choose 3 records from a particular DJ, producer, or record label, and we mix up them 3 records. We have a power mix where we do a 30-minute power mix where we put 2 years up side by side on Facebook and Twitter for like a democratic web vote, and whichever wins that vote, we do a 30-minute mix in that year. And then there's a 30-minute guest mix on the end, which is usually an upfront guest mix from a current producer of happy hardcore or rave breaks. So yeah, that's what we do every week.
It's very musical based, really, and if people sort of want to know about, so we've just launched this. Well, we've launched Tune Tuesdays, where we're sort of giving a bit of love to some of the new young producers who are creating some new stuff. But that's just 1 tune a week, whereas you're doing it quite a lot, aren't you? And so if people want to find out what is being made now that's new, it's not just like UK upfront hardcore, is it? It's a whole range of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of sort of Japanese hardcore on there, some Italian stuff. So the first hour is really looking at new stuff that's come out that week. And then we'll do like a classics power mix, and 3 in a row is usually something from the 90s or something like that. So there's a good mixture of what's happening now and a nostalgic nod to the past as well.
Yeah, well, mate, as all good podcasts should have, right? I know you've been going for 11 years, but why did you decide to start it in the first place?
I remember just being sat there one time on iTunes on my phone, and I thought, right, happy hardcore, it's my dirty little secret. Let's listen to some podcasts. You know what I mean? People look for the dirty little secrets on the phone at night. I was looking for happy hardcore. Yeah. And there was fuck all there. There was nothing there. This is 11 years ago. I know iTunes and podcasts have blown up everywhere now, but there was nothing there. I thought all the big jocks would have podcasts on there, and there was just nothing. So I just decided to start it, which was quite difficult back then. You use sort of websites now, pod site hosting companies, which will do a lot of it for you. But back then there was a lot of submitting to iTunes and dealing with your own RSS feed and meeting certain criteria. And I know it took, remember there was weeks where I was just checking my phone constantly to see when it was going to be listed, and it finally got listed in there.
I mean, I will say that it's not that much easier these days. It's a right fucking faff to get on in the first place. But once you're up, it's much more straightforward. Did you have any idea that you'd still be going 11 years later?
No, I never really thought that far ahead. I don't think. When I first started, it was just me mixing for an hour or 2 hours, and it was monthly. I started it monthly.
Well, that would have been quite novel, probably, because I mean, recently with you can't move through Facebook without seeing some shithead doing some crap, crap quality stream. So this would have been quite novel back in 2009.
Yeah, that's when it would have been. Yeah, 2009. Yeah, it was good. I mean, we did it monthly because I think there was restrictions with the hosting back then. It wasn't just unlimited content kind of bandwidth. Back then you had like a monthly growth. So I think that's why I started it monthly. And I only had so many records. I thought if I do this every week, do you know what I mean? You're going to be playing the same records over and over again. Because it was just about anthem bashing sort of when I started it. For the first 100 episodes, it was just anthem bashing 90s happy hardcore really. Back then. And
what was the reaction to it in the early days? Did it take a while to take off? And was there a moment when you thought, oh, this is actually going somewhere here? Yeah. Sort of after when we sort of got to about 100 episodes, and it was Happy Hardcore Classics, it used to be called when I first started it. We was just sort of anthem bashing stuff, and I wanted to play more breakbeat stuff or more of the harder gabber stuff. And with a podcast being called Happy Hardcore Classics, it sort of limited to what you could play. So I changed the name to Hardcore Will Never Die after a couple of years, after 100 episodes. I didn't really think too much about it growing at first. I enjoyed doing it. I'd have done the podcast if no one listened, because I like listening back to it and the discovery of new records and all that. Do you know what I mean? And then it just sort of took off. So actually, as a DJ, being as you are a DJ, it's actually a really smart way of getting new tunes, right?
Yeah. I suppose. Yeah, I mean, tunes cost nothing now, do they? I mean, like, what was it?
Well, I mean, that's an unfortunate position that these producers find themselves in, isn't it? It's impossible to monetize. But the thing is, it's more. I'm talking not necessarily about the cost, but you must get sent a lot. You must be right on top of it.
Yeah. You get. I think over the years I've sort of build up relationships with producers and labels, and there's a lot of free stuff on SoundCloud, and there's a lot of people on SoundCloud where you can buy tracks off them, and you've just got to sort of follow the right people. And over the years and years that I've had SoundCloud, I've just sort of built up a sort of community of people that I go to for that kind of music, or you see their new tunes come up and you can look at them.
Must be a bit of an admin nightmare, though. I mean, I'm even finding just Tune Tuesdays is a bit of an admin nightmare, and I'm only doing one tune a week. Yeah,
that's kind of why I sort of do an hour of the new stuff each week. Because there's so much shit out there, isn't there? Especially with the new stuff everyone's producing.
Not on Tune Tuesdays, mate.
Not on Tune Tuesdays. but the new UK happy hardcore sound, every man and the dog's making it, and they all follow the same sort of formula. Same sample packs.
You will have to forgive me here, Carl. I don't know what that sounds like. What is this new UK upfront sound that they're playing? What is it like these days? The last time I listened to upfront hardcore was in about 2004. So,
new UK hardcore. Well, I suppose it's been called UK hardcore for quite a while. For me, hardcore was happy hard. Yeah, it was happy hardcore. Then in the 2000s, it was sort of rebranded as new school hardcore, wasn't it? And then it's now called UK hardcore. And you get Japanese producers making UK hardcore, which is weird. It's all just hardcore. But as long as it's got a sort of...
What's the sound now?
The sound that I like, because there is a lot of shit out there,
right,
is it's got a sort of breakbeats behind it and a bit of a nostalgic nod to the past. And the riffs and the synths of... There's a lot of new UK hardcore stuff out there, which is 2 minutes long, 2 minutes 30 long. Do you know what I mean? They're just churning it out. A lot of the music, but at least the younger generation are making it, and it's going to push the scene forward, isn't it? I suppose.
You'd hope so. I mean, they're making it. We talk a lot about this, and this is partly why we started Tune Tuesdays, because we wanted to sort of reflect that there is. It feels like, I know you say hardcore will never die, but it really did feel like it did die for a while, and actually there is a resurgence in some of the, particularly as well in the breakbeat, that sort of 91 to 95. They're doing some really great stuff. For you, are you feeling that? Are you getting that impression as someone who gets new music every week and plays it out on your podcast that there is something different and special brewing again?
I mean, it never went away. It just went back underground, didn't it? Which is, it's always been there for the people who are into it. It just hardcore's always been there. It's just sort of been in the underground. The new breakbeat sound, which I say new, I've got tracks maybe about 5 or 6 years old now, but even before that, a lot of stuff on Night Force, they've continued through, and they're making breakbeat hardcore with maybe a bit of a kick behind it. I love the new Rave Break stuff. I do some Rave Breaks dedicated only mixes on the podcast, and they get so much attention, and people are always track RDs, and with the Rave Break stuff I'm just so lazy, I never put them up. But the reason I ask is that we sort of see people like for instance Chris Howe, Lunacy, moved back from America, big Facebook post about how he feels like the scene is it's busier than it's ever, it's going to blow up, and he wants to be back here as part of it, maybe putting on a rave, putting out young people who were never around in the 90s, people like Tim Reaper, Coco Bryce over in Holland, Pete Cannon, they're the obvious thing. But there are others and more, but they're the sort of figureheads, I suppose, in this new thing. But there are more of those. They're young and they're making real quality stuff. That's what I mean. It feels like there's more good stuff being made of that old sound. Definitely. I think a lot of the people that are making it are sort of maybe our age or a bit older were making that early breakbeat sound. But I hope that continues. There's the events that were sort of happening were more down south in the UK, weren't they, with Calling the Hardcore, and I saw one today in Oxford.
Ox Breaks, I think it was called.
Is that the one? Yeah. Pete Cannon's on at that one. I want to go to them when things open up again. I'll sort of make the journey and go down to them. There's not really much, because I'm in sort of the north of England, sort of Midlands north. Not really seen much of that up here.
Well, I've wanted to go to that Ox Breaks one, so maybe we can meet up and hold hands or something.
Okay.
We'll get our hands in the air together. And you make music, is that right?
Yeah, I make sort of 90s inspired happy hardcore. Sort of 909 kick, lots of break beats over it. Keep it silly, sample everything. Some stuff's original, gets released. There's a lot of stuff on maybe my SoundCloud that don't get released because it's just full of samples. But it's just good fun to make happy hardcore. You know, you can't go wrong. So yeah, produce quite a bit. Not as much as I'd like to. It is time consuming, as everyone knows.
Where can people find your stuff?
It's on Spotify, and the new stuff's on Spotify. The original stuff that you can have released, and if you go to my SoundCloud, there's probably some bootlegs and things on there that I've made. There's some fun tracks sampling like Ghostbusters and Cheech and Chong, and you know,
I always used to joke.
sample everything.
I always used to joke to my mate that when you were in a rave and you were really high, that everything just sounded a bit like Ghostbusters, and particularly when I would go to like a tech house night or whatever. But actually yours is Ghostbusters. So I'd be like, this actually is Ghostbusters. And so why should people come and listen to the Hardcore Will Never Die podcast? Like what we do? Because
happy hardcore solves everything.
Very good.
If you just want to listen to people anthem bash, just listen to the first 100 episodes of mine, or listen to someone else, or listen to someone on Facebook. But on Hardcore Will Never Die, it's more a weekly journey with rarities and B-sides and new music. So just, you know, check us out.
Okay.
X amount of pressure, X amount of roar.